Good evening. We've returned. I don't know what to do with my hands. Anyway, Reclamation's back on tonight. That's what's going on here. Ben is not absent. He is just a little bit late, as life is wont to do to us. So, um, in lieu of Ben's absence, it seems as if Zhao has very politely volunteered to give us our recap. Zhao?
That's right. Yep. So, last session we picked off basically right after the afternoon meetup, where most of us saw the way that Roz kind of ended up showing up from the tyrants, and well, everyone was upset about it, but Corona was the one that decided she'd try and see if she could do a little something more than that and maybe get the sword back. But long story short, in no uncertain terms, she spoke with one of the members of the Tyrants called Thalman, who was thankfully very polite and diplomatic, and informed her that we are not getting the sword back, not without killing Tatiana. Um, and thankfully, Corona was not alone in her journey to the camp. Melody graciously offered to come with her, and she'd hover around the outer perimeter, um, just in case anything went wrong, which was a high possibility. And while Corona was out talking, Covert actually decided to also check in with Melody and see what was going on because it was almost impossible to not know that something could possibly happen. Um, but nothing did, besides informing us that the sword was not going to return to us. And so when Corona, Melody, and Covert joined back, Covert was very helpful in letting us know that if we wanted to maybe bolster ourselves in the absence of the magical sword, there were options, but we would have to talk amongst ourselves. Um, After that, with any potential crisis being averted, um, people went about their business. Titan would be one of the first to go and see how Roz was doing, um, and everyone else would kind of check in, um, you know, bit by bit. Um, and Roz was thankfully healing, despite the despite how bad her wounds seem. If nothing else, this has been quite an enlightening um, turn of events. Maybe for Titan more than anyone else, as he's kind of garnered an interest in the heroic gene that might be, uh, what is keeping Roz not only stable but healing. Um, and so his interest led him towards Bandit, and the rest of us kind of would split off, come and go, check on Roz, until she eventually woke up, and after that, um, there was maybe a bit of back and forth, a little bit of stern talking too, from Titan to not just Roz but the whole group. Um, but eventually, um, once everyone had said their piece, and it was a happy ending to the lecture. Everyone kind of went off to go and rest up at the Dusty Daisy to get a drink, some food, Roz included, now that she was up, and discuss what mission we'd be pursuing. And with that, the mission in question is the one to ambush the prisoner train and rescue the captives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Does anybody have anything else to add?
Vanya gave Corona grenades.
Oh yeah, of
Hmm?
course I forget that. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, you got bombs. Yeah. Anything else? I think pretty much everything was covered. Okay. Well, the session ended with everyone gathered together at the Dusty Daisy, talking over and coming to the decision to join in the rescue mission with the White Cross Company to go recover some prisoners of war, which may potentially contain members of Greenwood. Question is, what are the things you round out your evening with? And is there anything of a significant importance that anybody needs to, handle? Anything that needs to be done?
Through the evening, no, but I think Audie wants to spend some time tomorrow looking at those collars with Covert before we head out. Assuming we're even ready to head out tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it mostly depends on how Roz is doing.
You can walk. Roz does need armor because her last one was beaten to bits. Is it possible to repair the armor, or is it shredded?
Uh, the piece of armor that you were wearing, the suit of armor you were wearing, is no longer what anyone would consider a piece of armor.
Okay.
The wounds reached so deep into your body, the armor was sundered significantly in order for the weapon to reach there. It is in parts and can be salvaged for spare parts, or with given enough time, remade back into what it was at the cost of a little materials. But time and crafting required.
Well, Roz can't do anything about that today, so that's a tomorrow before mission thing.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything for tonight? No pressure.
Lilith had one too many Sapphonous Sunrises and probably needs a little help getting back to her, but that's about it.
Yeah, they definitely sneak up on you.
This tastes like juice. Oh, it's morning.
Yep.
That's why I call it a sunset. Makes you go night night.
Okay. Oh, hey, Bed. Welcome.
Hey, thanks.
I was just going around the table and asking anybody if there's anything that they need to do on the rest of the evening for the 31st after the little powwow with the group. And if not, we're going to move on to the following day.
Nothing out of the ordinary. I know. Well, I heard Roz needs new armor. If you give me 12 hours before our next mission, might be able to have that sorted.
It's basically full days of work. So hypothetically.
Anyway. But yeah, no, nothing for the night. Okay. Nothing out of the ordinary.
All right. Well, then the rest of the evening will pass after drinks, meal, and conversation, of which you have all decided to participate in the rescue mission with the White Cross Company, as previously aforementioned, and you will all go to sleep. And the next morning comes. Weather's favorable, even 18 degrees and windy. So with the dawning of this new day, you all have chosen to accept the mission. As people have mentioned, what are mission preparation specific things that people would like to get done?
mean, Roz needs armor pretty
Yes.
badly.
Which I'm sure would have been brought up over dinner.
Mm-hmm. But I'm not sure how much time we have before the mission.
That is the most important thing. You would have to go liaise with White Cross Company to figure out what their timeline is. Because, I mean, if they just show up, at noon going, we're ready to go, obviously a problem. So somebody can go speak to them and find that out. Or they might show up, like I said, they might show up at your front door, depending upon how long you take.
No, let's go talk to him.
Okay. Well, it's bright and early. I've started you all off at 6 a.m. For those of you that would be awake, you're more than welcome to accompany the trek over to the White Cross Company camp.
That's definitely the plan.
Certainly could be awake.
Corona would be awake. She'll go if people need her. She doesn't look particularly busy in the mornings.
Lilith will go.
Sounds like everybody's going. Are you guys going there casually dressed in any kind of adventurer attire? Like, what is the mood you all collectively are giving off as you approach the White Cross Company camp?
Oh yeah, Roz doesn't have a shirt. I forgot about that. She's in bandages.
I'm sure you could have a shirt if you really desired one. You're in a camp full of people that have great concern for you.
Yeah. Roz fully healed now with like a shirt, not bandages.
Well, if unless someone goes out of their way, amongst the Greenwood citizens, you will be given a plain linen shirt that is roughly your size. Given that Lotus and Mrs. Albrecht have done a good job of inventorying everything that belongs to the Greenwood people and in managing it.
I mean, they'd be
Oh,
big
well.
for you, but Lotus also has an extensive wardrobe that she took with her.
It's true.
Or as extensive as she could afford to bring.
More accurately, but also true. So if you wanted something with a little more flair.
Yeah, but how big is Lotus?
She's like 6'4".
A couple sizes larger than Roz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
that's why I figured.
might be a little bit better off with the cheap, scratchy linen for now.
Well, it isn't before long that you make it across the way to the White Cross Company camp. You pass by a couple of camps. Of course, the Immortal Bastions camp is silent as they're off on mission. You see the chapter of fire, where outside currently there are two individuals that are sitting about 30 feet apart in a meditative stance with their legs crossed, palms on their knees, hands up. And you watch as both of them in front of themselves have this swirling ball of fiery energy of different colors, but they are currently actively kind of just slowly pulsing, and with each pulse growing. Some sort of practice of some kind. Who knows? They are an enigma to you. You pass by the Tyrant's camp, and as seems to always be happening, there are two Tyrants fighting. Blood spatters and scatters across the ground. You even kind of witness as in the middle of the bout, one literally runs a sword through like the clavicle of the other. But it doesn't stop the fight at all. They continue scrapping even after such a deadly blow. But eventually, you make it to the White Cross Company. There are two sentries on guard, as there always are. the one that makes eye contact with, I'm assuming Titan would be leading the way, will give a casual salute. Not casual, but not quite crisp as in for authority, but in a form of military greeting. Welcome to the camp, sir. Who are you looking for?
We're looking for whoever's in charge of the mission. We're trying to figure out when we're departing.
Very well. Go to the central tent just behind me there. The captain will be able to inform you as to what's going on. And it's the same tent
Thank
that
you.
you've visited numerous times so far. And you enter into the camp. The White Cross Company camp is business as usual. It's organized. It's well kept. There are people in the training field, some being instructed, some White Cross practicing drills. On the other side of the camp, you can see what is the somewhat, methodical process of their cook team preparing food for the 200 or so soldiers they have here. And then, of course, all the rows of tents of for the soldiers beyond that. But you make it to the central tent. The flaps are currently pinned open. And standing inside over the war table this time is a elven woman of bronze skin and dark hair, of which most of you have met at least once previously. This is Captain Silver. As you get near the entrance to the tent, she doesn't miss a beat and looks up from a report she's currently reading. Good morning, folks of Greenwood. How can I be of assistance today?
Yeah, we were wondering what time you guys are planning to start the mission.
You're joining in the rescue operation, then?
Yeah, that's correct.
Give me a moment. She walks over to a small side table that's in the corner and pulls out a drawer and leafs through some papers and then eventually pulls something out and looks at it. Okay. OTF-5 is the group tasked with this mission. It's led by somebody I think you've met before, Sergeant Riot, and her group.
Fuck yeah.
We planned for them to leave sometime today. You'd probably have to go talk to Sergeant Riot to be more certain as to the exact time frame in which she's established for her and her group. You can find Sergeant Riot currently in the training field, where she usually is at this time of day.
Right, okay. Thanks. We'll head over to see Sergeant Riot.
Of course, be mindful of the training field when you're passing through.
Yeah, of course.
And she slots the paper back away and returns to her study of the map with taking notes. So you exit the tent, leading the group.
Yep, off to see Sergeant Riot.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta go through the bureaucracy.
A little bit. And you head towards the training field where, as many times as you've all been here, you know there's always a small queue, people looking for an opportunity to be trained in something, whatever their need is on that particular day. Then, of course, the multiple dozens of people here receiving training and White Cross Company soldiers actively training. It is not hard to miss that about halfway across the field, there is a Sergeant Riot brandishing a battle axe against another member of White Cross Company based off of the armband that they're wearing. And they're currently in a pretty fierce bout, trading blows her opponent wielding a great sword, being of a orcish heritage. And the blows trade back and forth a bit, but Riot manages to slip in low, and instead of taking the opportunity to go for a blow, trips the orc and takes the feet out from underneath him. And then we'll kind of turn around using the momentum of the same movement and flip the haft of the axe for the blade down, and just kind of drops it and holds it over his neck. As you get within range, you see that she backs off and then offers him a hand and helps him up. There's a bit of a moment where, they slap each other on the back a few times and they part ways. She walks over, grabs a water skin and just kind of douses herself in it before taking a swig. She will clock you all eventually, if only because you're a large group. Greenwood people. Dare I assume you're here because you're coming along on the mission?
Yeah, we figured we'd join you this time.
Excellent news. I'm assuming you've heard the briefing from Covert, so you understand rescue mission, somewhat complicated collar situation, stuff like that.
Yeah, we're excited to help.
All right.
I was just gonna go inspect the collars myself, see what I could learn. But before that, we wanted to know when you wished to depart.
Well, the team and I, we were looking to head out sometime just past noon today. We have one of our artificers currently doing the same thing you just said, which is going to inspect the collars and get a baseline of information as to how to work around them. And once he felt comfortable, we were going to leave.
That sounds perfect. Roz, can you be ready by then?
Well, see, part of the problem is, I have no armor. Kind of got shredded by Tatiana when she beat me half to death.
Mm-hmm.
I don't suppose the White Cross would be kind enough to let me borrow a set.
Are you going to ruin that set of armor too?
I'm not going to fight Tatiana in it.
All right, I can send you to the quartermaster. If you can convince him, then by all means. I can't make any promises. I'm not responsible for handing out equipment.
Good enough. I can do that.
I mean, I might as well. If you're heading there, are you going to ask anything else, or is it just like the one favor from the quartermaster?
I mean, I don't have anything.
No, I'm as ready as can be.
Good to go.
All right, that'll make it a little easier at the very least. He's not very fond of strangers walking up and demanding things of him. But fine. I'm done here. I'll take you. I'll take you to his tent. But the rest of the legwork is up to you.
Good enough. Thank you.
And
I don't think I'm needed here anymore. I'm gonna go check out the collar.
All right. Good luck.
Audie will tag along behind Titan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll stick with Roz to make sure she doesn't put a foot in her mouth.
Seeing Lilith kind of gravitate towards Roz, Corona feels at ease enough to tag behind Titan Melody.
Okay.
Not towards the collar, just towards the main camp again.
Okay. So Corona's just kind of drifting back in that direction. Titan and Melody, you're going to go speak to Covert about seeing the collar. And Roz and Lilith, accompanied by Riot, are going to go to the quartermaster of the Whitecross Company to try to get Roz some armor. Is that all accurate?
Seems so.
Yes.
Perfect. Let's get the armor thing out of the way. That's pretty straightforward. So, Riot, after setting the battle axe back on the one of the rack of training weapons, will take you along, walking you through the training fields, going back towards the right side of the camp. You'll pass by the main central tent, where the rest of the party will sort of diverge from there, and they'll take you through where the area between the utilities of the camp and the personal tents are. And there, on one side, is the mess tent, where there are currently about 50 or so White Cross Company soldiers eating. But then on the other side, there is another tent that is larger than average, and currently has both flaps pulled open. And there is just a table and what looks like a half dwarf behind it, based off of their kind of stockier structure and build. Just kind of bent over the table with a huge ledger in front of him. Just furiously just inventorying, apparently. Right, we'll walk you up to the outside of the tent and then lean over to you, Roz. All right. That's the quartermaster. And I said, not fond of strangers making demands. You can say I sent you here, and that'll at least get you to talk to him. But you're going to have to convince him the rest of the way.
I will be as polite and respectful as possible.
All right. His handle's Graybeard, so just call him that.
All right. Thanks for bringing us. I got it from here.
All right, I'll see you all later then. And Riot strolls off, kind of stretching her muscles as she does. When you peer fully into the tent, you see, like I said, this stockier than average human, very thick, wiry black hair streaked with gray and white, a very full beard, which, by contrast to the hair on his head, as it fades down through his sideburns, does in fact turn a much more stony gray in color. Does not, unlike all the other members of Whitecross today, does not seem to pay you any mind, as you've clearly begun loitering near the tent.
Well, Roz is going to go in and, my Lord Greybeard, sir, could I speak with you a moment?
I'm listening.
Hello, my name is Roswin. I'm one of the freelance mercenaries going with Sergeant Riot's squad leader today to rescue captives. My armor was recently shredded in a duel, and I was hoping I could beg of you a favor and borrow a set of armor from the White Cross.
Was that the duel with Tatiana that everyone's talking about?
That was the one, yes.
You don't exactly make good decisions. How can I be certain you're going to bring the armor back?
Would you like my word, or would you prefer collateral?
I don't know you. Your word doesn't mean anything to me. You have collateral worth what the armor we can lend you is, I'll take it.
That depends on what the armor is.
Make a persuasion check.
You got it. 15.
15. You see him take a very, very wide finger and just kind of scroll through the ledger, flip the page, go through another. All right. We have a few things that could be offered to you with appropriate collateral. We have a set of scale mail, a breastplate, chain mail. That's it.
All right. For myself personally, the chainmail is probably most applicable. Would you accept coin as collateral, and if so, how much?
The equivalent cost of the chainmail. But if you have 50 silver, that'll do.
I can do that. 50 silver and 5 extra for the favor for you to keep.
Are you trying to bribe me, ma'am?
No, I'm offering you a tip and a thank you.
This isn't a service, ma'am. We don't accept tips.
I intend to bring the armor back. I'm just trying to be nice.
I'll make sure to donate it to a charitable cause.
I accept that. Thank you for the armor.
He will take the silver, scrape it into a box, close the box, put it back on the floor. Then he'll write out a little tally slip and then hand it to you. Just head down the lane to the right. There'll be a large tent there. Hand it to one of the soldiers inside. You will receive your armor.
Yes, sir, right away. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go get that chainmail.
My lord, I'm just gonna like look at her. Silly.
Shut up, I'm being nice. It's an honorific.
Anyway, you take the slip, walk down the lane, head to the tent. When you go inside, it is a very long tent filled with tables and armor racks and armor stands. Again, equipment to outfit a small army, which is what they are. You were immediately stopped by a White Cross Company soldier, currently amidst all the inventorying with a handful of others. We'll look at you, about to ask a question, and then sees the slip in your fist, and we'll just stick out a hand for it.
Slip given.
Looks at it. Okay, give me a second. And turns, walks to one side of the tent about halfway down. You see him have to lift a couple of crates and rummage through some stuff and eventually prise one open, and then out comes a jingling set of chainmail. And then we'll carry it back to you.
Very well. Roz will take the chainmail, pass it over her shoulder.
You can go now.
Right, on my way, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And leave the camp.
And you leave the camp. It wasn't that bad. Meanwhile, Krona, Titan, and Adi are heading back down the lane, eventually towards the center. When you get there, where does Krona veer to?
I think she's going to let Melody and Titan know. I'll be at camp if anyone needs me. I figure you two will have a better idea what to do with the collar than I would. I'd just take up space.
All right, thanks, Corona. We'll see you later.
Sounds good. I'll be getting ready. And yeah, that's that's exactly what she's gonna do. She's gonna veer off towards you know, our camp and start taking stuff out of her bags, because maybe we might have to carry a bunch of stuff. Who knows? She wants to be ready for that.
Okay. So Corona heads off back towards the Greenwood camp and the other refugees. Titan and Audie You walk up towards where Covert at his desk is. He leans back in his chair as you both approach. Good morning, Melody, Titan. To what do I owe the pleasure?
Hey, Covert, how's it going?
Busy as normal. No, murderous attempts as of late, so that's nice. And by that I mean in the last couple of hours. So, yeah,
That's good. We're here. We want to inspect the collar.
Right, of course.
For our mission today.
Yeah. There's already 2 other people currently looking at it, but if you don't mind the company, I can take you there.
On the contrary, I'd love the company.
Sure. All right. Let's do this. He gets up, puts his quill down on his desk, and then he turns around and just hops off the the standing platform that his desk is on. And then just will beckon you to come over towards where he's standing. Okay. This is a little less intense than the teleportation you all use to get around. But where the collar is in a pocket dimension, so we do have to transition there.
Great.
Don't worry.
No problem with it.
It won't be that bad. So just stand right there. And you see him take a finger and he writes a few runes in the air and then strikes his finger through them and they dissipate into arcane glimmers, and then eventually you just kind of feel your whole body just kind of like hop in place, and when your feet touch the ground again, you're in a small room about 30 by 30, plain on all sides. There's a single table in the center that looks like it could seat about 6 people. And currently there are 2 other individuals there standing over top of what looks to be a collar of some sort.
You were right. That wasn't so bad. Why don't we do that every time?
Time times distance times magical force. It's a whole formula. Pocket dimension is localized, so you're not actually going super far, versus physically moving your entire body from one location to hundreds of miles away. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna leave you all to it. I don't need to be here. If you say anything in the room, I hear it. So if you need to go, just let me know.
All right, can do.
Mm-hmm. And he just sort of like has a moment where his body sort of shudders and he vanishes. Standing around the table, like I said, are 2 individuals. One of which is instantly recognizable by the white, black, and gray tabard that they're wearing, a member of White Cross Company. The other, dressed in relatively plain clothes, somewhat baggy, airier pants that are sort of tapered off at the ankles, plain slippers, and a somewhat more open, breezy kind of blouse, all in hues of red, orange, and yellow. And the armband, which shares their mercenary company symbol, a member from the Chapter of Fire. They're both currently stood over the table, carefully and in turns inspecting the collar.
That Titan will just approach them. How's it going? What have we learned so far?
The White Cross Company member will turn up. He's a gnome with a very like high saturation blue colored hair, which contrasts his somewhat lime green eyes. He turns around, hands on his hips. To be honest with you, a psycho made this. That's the best way I can say it. It's got 3 layers of redundancies to make sure that if someone tries to take it off without the appropriate corresponding magical key, it just kills the person that it's wearing, or that's wearing it. So
Anyway, to know the
awful.
key.
Well, and in a similar way to when you're making items, every item made by a certain person, crafted in a similar manner, will have kind of its own sort of magical signature. It requires a certain amount of power, requires certain materials, and when it's all combined, it will give off a certain kind of essence. If you were to like use a detect magic spell, for instance. This is the same case where they do that. They make these collars, and then they take a piece of it and they take it away somewhere else, and they attach another item to it that allows them to use it as a means to affect the collars remotely if necessary. So the problem is that these collars are separate from that. So ideally, unlikely but possible, is that we could spend time trying to reverse engineer our own kind of remote. But I don't know if we have the time, especially given in an ideal world, we leave today, according to Sergeant Riot's timeline.
Well, I'll help out as best I can. I'm Titan. I studied at Mythlite. I did a major in medicine and body mechanics, but I also did a study in magic items.
Are you more on the
I'll lend what
enchanting
I
side
can.
or the technical side?
More technical.
Okay. So we overlap a little there. That'll be fine. Do you happen to know any rune experts?
None readily available.
And that means we have to work with her. And he turns and looks over at the person on the other side of the table. This individual has a combination somewhere between of red metallic skin, kind of between red and bronze. Their sclera are black. Their irises are yellow and orange, and they seem to be moving and shifting. They have hair that intones fire but has individual strands. They have a very feminine form, but at a glance, Titan, you would know that this is a failing, a creature, a former denizen of the primal wilds, now living on the home plane.
Okay. Yeah.
And they are, while they once upon a time evolved from the original mortal elder races, now failings more or less have a choice as to how they wish to appear and present themselves. So gender is kind of a non-thing for them.
Fair enough.
But like, so this
not
person,
too dissimilar from Dragon Eye.
yeah, this person's extremely feminine presenting though. And at the comment from the White Cross Company soldier, they just sort of smile over the table with a very, very bright, warm smile. So much so you actually feel the temperature in the room rise just a little.
So you're our rune specialist.
Well, I am certainly a specialist in runes. I wouldn't say I belong to anyone in that regard. This is more for my own personal interests. No, none taken. More establishing the fact that while we share a campground, we aren't necessarily compatriots. Like I said, this is for my own personal interests.
Well, understood and duly respected. But if you have any interests you'd care to share with us, I would love to hear them. I also have personal interest in studying these sorts of things. And quite frankly, I'm always eager to learn more about runes.
I will leave this thought while you begin your initial look into it, and perhaps it might help you along. The collar was constructed in such a manner that, in typical fashion, it is made first in a common way, a basic metallic ring, soldered to have an opening that could be clamped around someone's neck. And then it is further fabricated to create vessels to add magic to them, to carry them, and to be responsive in such a way that when the enchantment is finished, that they can have a part taken away from it, and that is what creates the remote that the small one mentioned. The runes, however, what I've been able to observe, are written in such a fashion that they have corresponding, that you see them stopping and kind of flourish their hand, their fingers for a moment as if considering the right choice of verbiage or wordage. They go, keywords. So the hypothetical remote that's being spoken about is only one part of the puzzle. The other part of it is, in order to safely disarm the collar without one triggering the other failsafe or vice versa, you would have to understand the keywords and be able to either break them or, if capable, speak them.
So not merely enough to get a key, we'll probably have to get somebody to confess the keywords as well.
You see them nod a few times, essentially.
Right. Well, let's see what else we can learn. If they've got this level of protection, who knows how deep they'll go.
Well, for both of you who are here and investigating, you can make me, well, honestly, there are a couple of checks possible here. An Arcana check, an Investigation check, a Tinker's Tools check, even a Blacksmithing check. Each will provide slightly different information.
Probably an Arcana check from Titan.
Okay.
That's it. I missed the whole list, but I do have Tinker's Tools proficiency.
Tinker's Tools is on there. Tinker's Tools, Arcana, Blacksmith Tools, or an Investigation check.
Dexterity for Tinker's Tools, right?
That or Intelligence.
I'll take Intelligence. And she has her dad's tool set with her.
Okay.
If it comes to actually using them.
Mm-hmm.
I figure this is a lot more observation. That's a 14 for Audie.
Okay.
Sorry. Double checking. There it is. Inspiration rules. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, I don't have enough for that. Okay. I will just do a reroll. Okay, you take those. 25.
Really good. Okay. Melody, you spend some time looking over it. You're able to sort of collaboratively talk your way through certain things with the member of White Cross here. a little bit with Titan as you're all kind of learning and observing. A lot of the things that you sort of take in can sort of be either cross-examined or confirmed by the member of Whitecross Company here. The collar, as previously mentioned by the failing in the room, has a relatively simple construction of leather and iron with a bronze inlay. There is a single segment that has hinges, which is meant to be opened and closed to be able to fit it around someone's neck. Likewise, the lock mechanism is built into the collar. The keyhole is not your standard keyhole. It is just a perfectly round opening. But upon further inspection, you can tell that it has a relatively simple locking mechanism, as in it is one you can understand. It is not special or ornate or overly complex in the way that you might have expected it to be, but in the way that it is still a gnomish lock, therefore it is a good lock. You can observe that on the inside of the collar, along the bronze inlay, that there are essentially 5 places etched into the bronze that hold these rune markers on them. And they are done in a language that you don't recognize. But they are currently active, as in you can tell there's magical power still flowing through them.
You say that it's in a rune we don't recognize. Does it look at all like Lilith's brooch?
No.
Not even cursorily. Okay.
No. I mean, it could be a cousin language, but it is not of the same language.
Right. Okay.
The most important detail that I think I can give you is that the locking mechanism, you can tell, is connected via its machinery to the bronze inlay on the interior of the side of the collar. And you think someone tampering with the lock and perhaps causing a mishap of some sort would trigger the collar's failsafe and kill the person it's wearing. Do you have any questions with those particular details, Audie?
Nope. That seems to make sense. She's just getting a better understanding.
Okay. Titan. So, I mean, you get pretty much everything that Audie's gotten so far. The runes are done in such a way that they seem to sort of be from the first rune that is closest to the lock seems to be the lowest, and then each rune above it is somewhat more intricate. While you don't speak the language, but because of your background, you definitely know that this is a primordial language. Specifically, it is the primordial language of fire, which would also perhaps reveal to you the consequences of failing to adequately disarm the collar. But it is also extremely out of the ordinary for gnomes to be working in such a language like this, given that they tend to lend way more into their machinery.
Yeah, that is very interesting.
The runes are connected. They each do represent, as the failing mentioned, a keyword. But you continue to sort of watch where each of the 5 runes are. At the end, much in the way that the lock is connected to the first rune, you see that the last rune is connected to something that goes into the folds of the collar. So basically, in between the leather lining, the bronze inlay, and then the iron itself, something folds inside of there as well. And without dismantling the collar, you couldn't be completely certain what it is.
Okay. That is really good to know. Titan, I mean, he is who he is. He's happy to talk out loud as he does his investigation and his findings. Yeah. Well, from what I've found, it's the primordial language of fire. But the runes aren't fully on the outside. It looks like they may have continued doing more on the inside of the collar. Without dismantling it, we might not know what's going on inside there. This is. I mean, you were right to say this was made by a psychopath. This is unprecedented levels of caution for a collar for slaves.
Yeah, I know. That's what I've been saying. It just seems completely unreasonable and also outside the wheelhouses of most of the psychos that I knew before, the war started. So it's like, what purpose does this serve when all they're trying to do is essentially, use prisoners as slave labor? Why take it to this level of insanity? What purpose does it serve other than perhaps just being cruel?
Titan shakes his head. I don't know. I'd be very fascinated to learn. I mean, I'd expect something like this for enslaving, powerful, dangerous people. But general slaves? I mean, the work they'd have to put in to make this many collars as well.
Yeah, well, go on.
Is it even possible to speak in fire?
Titan, you know that the ancient languages were never meant to be spoken by mortals. They were meant for the primordials.
Yeah, but Titan is happy to impart wisdom to Adi. She's learning magic. Exciting. She's happy to do it. No, these were designed for primordial tongue, not for our own. I mean, the closest would be our failing friend here, but even she would probably struggle.
Then that means it might not be spoken on a remote. If no one can speak it, or it means today they've got a primordial power.
Well, it's more likely that the spoken words are bastardizations of the primordial language, or they could be set to just any general language that we speak. It's impossible to know.
The failings is like bent over at the waist, so they're basically lying on a part of the table with their chin resting in their hands. They look a little smug, like they know something.
Yeah, Titan will nod to them. You look like you've got more.
I do. As I said, I figured out a good deal about the rune writing on the collar, along with knowing about the additional hidden runes inside of the collar, along with their intended purposes. And the fact that you're not too far off of your understanding with primordial languages either.
Said, I'm excited to learn more if you're willing to share. Though I'm happy I got even a glimpse of what you've figured out.
One, this is a freebie. The primordial languages are not meant to be spoken by mortals as we know them. However, mortals that have a bonded spirit with them can in fact speak, understand, and utilize primordial languages to whichever corresponding spirit they happen to find themselves bonded to.
Titan starts taking notes.
This was a more common understanding for those who came from the primal wilds before our worlds merged, because it was not uncommon for a Fae to do so. But since the new world balance has occurred, it is different, and in most places controversial. But it is not uncommon amongst my people. They stop. The chapter fire. We all have a bonded spirit. And that being said, language like this, when it is written physically, even though it is a bit sloppy, it resonates in a manner for those that can understand it, can receive the information from it. So the reason why I know the runes are further hidden inside the layers of the collar is because I can hear the words that they are. Normally, if you were to be a mortal, such as yourselves, gain this ability through, they sort of shrug their shoulders, any other means that isn't from a bonded spirit, it would likely begin causing you great pain. Quite literally burning your ears, eventually crawling into your head. Cautionary tale. Be wary of those offering you things of power from ancient languages if you don't have an appropriate connection to it. That all being said, my understanding is the runes are the most complicated and dangerous part of the collars. Given that they have to have their connection, their remote, to function, and can be controlled from a distance. The way you remove at least the danger of the collar and the runes attached to them would be either to have a connected spirit of the same element actively intervene with the language, essentially absorbing its power and diminishing its own magic to break the runes, or you'd have an opposing elemental, a spirit that could smother it. It's far less technical than how the gnome was considering it.
Titan writes for a couple more seconds after she finishes talking. That is fascinating. Very fascinating. So it's likely whoever made these collars has a similar connection to a primordial as you yourself.
Certainly possible. Or they've made a contract with a somewhat malice-filled spirit.
Well, it's my understanding of the primordials that you'd be able to find a fair few of those.
That is correct. There are quite a few vengeful spirits that are lingering about. Well, I've seen and spoken my part. I will be taking my leave. I hope you all have found this enlightening and find a better answer as to your conundrum.
Thank you. If you're agreeable to it, would you be okay if I came by to learn from you more? You know, when you have spare time.
I don't do anything for free. and I only do things that interest me. If the interest is great enough, then the cost is severely diminished.
Titan
So
nods.
you can bring information to me that is of similar interest or value of what I could give to you, then perhaps we can exchange in a trade.
Does that mean you're holding on to things that you haven't shared?
Of course.
What sort of incentive does that have?
I've given you the key points. I suspect you and yours will be able to figure out the rest. I've practically handed you an answer to the problem. You just have to solve the rest yourself.
No, I just mean if you're leaving out any key principles. What would be the incentive to get that from you?
As I've just explained to your large friend Titan, something of equal or equivalent interest.
Titan's just like excitedly back at the collar.
Mm-hmm.
If you trade, Audie, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Not unless I need it.
And Audie just kind of smirks and shakes her head. Well, if he says that he doesn't need to help, I guess I won't help him.
Well, I certainly hope you find the rest of the answer. And may the twins smile on you on your mission. And much in the same way you watched Covert leave earlier, you watch as their form kind of shudders and then snaps out of existence.
And Audie kind of mutters, "We've better than the twins. We've the fates."
Well, no offense to her or you, I don't think any of the gods or any such things are going to help us in this particular conundrum, so this is more of an us problem.
It's not really what they do anymore.
Mm-mm.
That's the
Nope.
best things about. That's just the best things about fates. You don't have to do anything for it just to go well. Well, for it to go like it's supposed to.
Politely, that sounds like bullshit.
Audie just shrugs.
Well, let's learn what we can. We need to at least leave this room with a somewhat consistent answer to our problem, so that way we're not just going there and then watching people pop. And you guys can montage for a little.
Montage to learn everything we can with the new information we have.
Yeah. So just again, collaboratively, amongst the three of you, so including the NPC, make an Arcana or one of the tools checks, or an investigation check. And so either two people can make individual rolls and the NPC can help one of you for advantage, or vice versa. However you want to do it.
I was going to say, I might offer advantage to either. Because, like I said, Audie's really just there to support.
There is a slight bit of overlap between me and him.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I don't know, does he feel more knowledgeable in the Arcana stuff, or should I leave him to the mechanics?
I suspect you're going to be better at the Arcana stuff than he is. Your education seems a bit broader in that regard.
Okay.
I was going to say, And that being said, I do have a pretty decent investigation if we wanted to cover all three, but I figured maybe the benefit would be to the advantage.
The advantage is good.
Mhm.
I leave it to you. I did okay on the Arcana check.
25. You did great. You're level 2. You did great.
I rolled a 19. I was pretty happy.
Yeah, it's real good. It barely gets better. No, I said up to y'all.
Okay, I guess I will roll my investigation.
Investigate.
Okay.
Ah,
The gnome will help you, Titan.
Okay.
oh, that's a 12.
Okay.
With the advantage, I got a 25 again.
Good. Okay. Another hour goes by. Short of taking the color apart, you basically learn about as much about it as you can. You understand its basic construction. You understand how you could take it apart, but you're most certain that doing so without first knowing how to directly disarm the runes would cause a problem, which is probably the reason why no one's done it yet.
Yeah.
Essentially, the biggest hurdle is the runes themselves, because they seem to be attached in both directions. One deeper into the collar for added protection, and one towards the lock in case the lock is tampered with. It will cause a reaction that the runes will then detonate. So you have to be able to deal with the runes first. You were given 2 suggestions by the Failing in the room, previously in the room, which is essentially have a person or a spirit of primordial fire essentially absorb the magic out of the runes themselves, therefore rendering them inert, or have the contrasting element, aka water, more or less drown the runes, dousing them, which would render them inert for a time in order for you to then pick the lock and remove the collar and then probably dispose of it unless you could for certain know that it won't reactivate. There is a third option, but it is a bit trickier because it's just more expensive and slightly less reliable, which is essentially if you could reliably dispel the magic of the runes on the collar, you could buy yourself a window of time to unlock it and pop it off. But to create scrolls like that would take time and money.
Yeah.
Or, again, having a significantly powerful enough spellcaster with you. But the number of those that can reliably cast those multiple times in the same day are a very small number in the camp.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So,
if everybody in chapter 5 is a bound spirit, then couldn't most of them absorb the element?
Yeah. But it sounds like they'd probably take some convincing.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping to find out.
That was
what he needed.
That was part of the reason why the introduction was a little cold for me. Kind of already broached the subject, given the somewhat holier than thou attitude that they had. Because it kind of came back to, well, if you have all the answers, why don't you just do something about it? To which they essentially responded with, there isn't enough in it for them. And you just see the gnome like give a frustrated shrug. Like, what are you supposed to say to that? So, yeah, clearly, great answer. Best answer we probably have. But they just don't want us. So what are you going to, like, what?
Well, we do have Lilith. She's quite bright. But I don't know if she's quite this bright. I don't know if anybody in Greenwood other than yourself, Titan, is desperate.
Titan shrugs. It's hard to say, kid.
Is it easy?
I wouldn't count Lilith out. But, the other solution, I mean, if we can get it drowned in water, then it's not likely to go off either. It would be dangerous for the people in the collars, but so long as we work on it while it's fully submerged, it's possible we could remove it.
My element's a bit weak. What does ice counter? And she'll kind of like tap at your diamond finger.
I don't know, CJ. I assume ice is part of water.
Yeah, it's a subcategory of water or cold. So in that direct regard, it is still technically water. So in that train of thought, hypothetically, Titan, your breath weapon, for instance, could probably disarm a collar for a time.
Do you think between you and Lotus, do you have a chance?
That's a good thought, Audie. My breath weapon could potentially disarm it, but again, it's not hyper focused. It would do some damage to anybody wearing the collar. Risk reward on these sorts of things, I'm afraid. The best answer is still the chapter of fire. But it's not our only option.
Is it evident when someone has a bond of spirit? I'm just not I'm not below kidnapping is all.
Wait. Did you just suggest we kidnap someone?
Yeah. Somebody who would have a bond of spirit. I mean, someone on the other side. We're getting to prisoners. There's got to be, I don't know, their own soldiers. Somebody's got to have the key.
I don't know if I should be a part of this conversation if you're going to talk about kidnapping someone.
Titan shrugs. I don't assume. I assume taking prisoners isn't an uncommon practice in war.
Oh,
This is more what Audie's talking about, not, kidnapping.
Right. I thought you were talking... taking prisoners, fine. I thought you were talking about kidnapping somebody in the camp. And like, I shouldn't be a part of this conversation. But we're just talking about enemies from the other side. That's fine.
Yeah, and Audie looks horrified for a moment, like, oh my goodness, no, that's not what I meant at all.
Audie's not nearly so villainous, although I understand she's sometimes hard to hear.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that.
But no, she meant somebody on the other side.
I mean, no guarantee that they have a spirit.
No, absolutely not.
They would just
They
have...
may know enough to help us.
Well, yeah, I mean, then you gotta get them to talk. That's always a problem. They don't exactly have great incentive to talk when they've been captured. You know? Well, we still have some time in the day before our supposed time is coming up. We should I should reconvene with the company and see if we have any solutions with the things we've come up with. And you all should probably go do the same.
All right. Thanks for all the help.
Yep, no problem. Pleasure meeting a like-minded individual. Although, admittedly, I'm a little jealous of your education.
Well, maybe when all this is over, I can give you a recommendation.
Would you really?
Titan nods. You've certainly impressed me so far.
Well, I am self-taught. A lot of mistakes along the way. Somewhat difficult road that led me down. You don't need my life story. I appreciate that. If we survive all this, that would be almost a dream come true. After all this,
Titan just smiles. I have a shockingly similar story.
Well, maybe over some ales another time we could talk about it. Right now, got a mission.
Of course. Covert, we're done in here.
Yep. All right. Give me a second. And then all of you kind of feel yourselves jostle, and then when your feet land again, you're outside. All right. I will see you two later. By the way, also, and he gives you a salute. Private Evening Glow. Pleasure to meet you.
Good to meet you, Evening Glow. Dr. Titan, Melody.
Melody Albrecht. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure. All right. We'll see each other soon. And he turns and he runs back to camp. Covert's kind of leaning over the side of his chair looking at both of you. So I heard you both came to some conclusions in there. Do you need any help that a liaison might be able to facilitate?
It's difficult to say. As you know, our best option is the Chapter of Fire assisting in this, but we do not know what they'd want in order to assist. If you could find out that information, it would go a long way for us.
Yeah. Vertrara is a difficult customer, to say the least. That's who that was, by the way. That was the head of the Chapter of Fire.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I mean, they tend to keep in pretty tight circles around here. I don't know if you know this, but they're actually they sent a bunch of their initiates onto the adventurer's totem. That's who's in there currently.
I suppose we're looking for finding out anything on the other side.
Well, the thing is, they have Vertraro's gathered like-minded people, but they have a thing about collecting and recording lost history. I've only been able to talk to them a little bit, but Vertraro seems pretty obsessed with not losing everything that they experience in this lifetime, because apparently the Fae were really bad at keeping records. So when the worlds got smushed together, a lot of their history died with those that died, and is now scattered amongst all the other spirits that have decided to, take up courts.
Heard theirs was a mostly oral history. I had no idea, though.
Yeah. So honestly, I don't really think I can do a whole lot for you if you think if the answer is there. I can tell you how to try to negotiate with them, which is what I said. Vertrara loves history, interesting tidbits, secrets, things that a lot of people won't know, things that are worth remembering. So a fanciful story, not so much, but a cautionary tale, like kind of scenario, a story that could teach something relevant. It's even better if it actually involves a real life historical event that teaches the lesson, something like that. It's the reason why they they literally jumped at me for the chance to go to the Adventurer's Totem first.
Titan just kind of frowns. Well, we may have ways of getting our hands on such things. But I do hate making deals.
Was that what everybody has secrets?
Useful currency to exchange in.
Until everybody knows it and then it's worthless.
Yeah, can't argue with that. Oh, that's really all the advice I have for you in dealing with the chapter. They also well, they collect books too. I don't know if you guys managed to bring anything with you from Greenwood of perhaps relevant interest. You have like a historical like record book of your village that might even do it. Or you could just buy one of their mercenaries for however long you could negotiate a contract with them. They are, after all, still mercenaries.
Do you think we can get anybody to part the books? I think we brought a few.
I mean, I don't know that we have any written history of Greenwood. Closest thing would be the old man's journal, but I wasn't thinking of grabbing it on my way out.
Yeah, real shame that.
But you might know Facile better than the rest of us. It's a story. It's a true story.
I mean, Lo and I can share what we know. Others might have insights as well. I don't know, Adi. We gotta figure it out.
Oh, well, like I said, good luck. And if you need anything, come ask.
All right. Thanks, Covert.
Mm-hmm.
Titan's walking back. You
Mhm.
did really good in there today, Adi.
Not half as good as my dad would have done. But thank you.
Yeah. If your dad's alive, we'll get him. But you're certainly a chip off the old block.
Well, if the manifest is correct, we might have validate and ask someone to. I mean, he learned a lot longer than I did.
You're not wrong. But like I said, don't count yourself short. You did good, kid.
And I'm thinking that Lilith might be able to help with us. She's a bit more into the non-fictional things. I liked my stories a bit too much.
That's fair. But if you think she's got something, every little bit helps right now.
It certainly would hurt. What time is it anyway? Like, how long were we in there? 2-3 hours?
About 3 hours. It's 8:30, pushing 9.
do you think they're back at camp? Or do you have something to do? I can run on ahead.
My morning's clear, Audie. We can go together. Don't worry about it.
Can I ask you something kind of silly, Titan?
Yeah, of course. There are no silly questions.
I mean, you'd known me since I was little. Then, and then I stopped talking. But now we know why. Do you think it's silly of me that I keep quiet still? I still don't know if I'll say the wrong thing.
And kind of rubs at some of the scales on his neck. I never thought it was silly you kept quiet, Audie. I always suspected you had magic. But if you keep quiet because you lack confidence and you're scared of saying the wrong thing, well, I think that's something to work on. You're an intelligent young woman, Audie. You put smiles on lots of people's faces. You've got talents worth sharing.
Just gotta
If you
figure out a way
think
to
the
do
louder
it.
voice can help it, then work on getting louder. Sorry, what was that?
I just have to find a safe way to share it. That's all. Sorry,
Wow,
Sky's been helping a little bit.
Sky'll help. Practice will help. I know a little bit about magic myself if you have any other questions. I'm always free to talk, Audie.
Appreciate it.
Maybe as you get more control, the confidence will come naturally. Then you can talk as loud or as quiet as you wish. I'll be honest with you, Audie. It never hurts talking a little quiet. Force people to pay attention to you. Gives you
And
a wink.
she bursts into a grin like, "Oh, that's a great idea. Wish I thought of that." Like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm not afraid. This is a power move." Like,
Okay. Well, before you all wander off and find your compatriots, we're going to take our break. And then we're going to come back and find out where your compatriots went.
Yay.
But yeah, we're going to take a 10-minute break. We'll be right back. Okay, bye. And we're back. Welcome. We left off with Titan and Melody having studied the gnomish prisoner of war collar, which is rife with traps and apparently an ancient language, of which now collectively with the White Cross Company need to figure out a reliable solution in order to make this rescue mission successful. However, sometime earlier, the party did separate a little, to which there are two groups in question, Corona and then Lilith and Roz. If someone is doing nothing of particular importance, speak up first.
That would be me probably. I think Corona, like I said, emptying bag out a bit, doing stretches. She would like to go to the firearm, or sorry, the shooting range, but
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't want to be too far away in case people need her for anything. So
Okay.
nothing special. Just preparing for the outing later in the day.
Okay. In which case, Lilith, Roz.
Roz is also not doing anything terribly interesting. She's got her borrowed armor. She's going to go put it on, get ready for her mission.
Okay.
Pretty much the same with Lilith. Going back to her tent, making sure she's got everything she thinks she needs.
Okay. Like I said, worst snack to be eating. And it was so much more peanut butter on the last bite. Okay. So we can kind of jump back to where it's Titan and Melody, where we're leaving Covert and heading back to the camp. But before you manage to find anybody, and I finish chewing, there is, as you guys have crossed the threshold into the west side of the camp, the refugee side of the camp, and heading back towards where the Greenwood citizens are, you hear a small chiming horn that is kind of announcing or acknowledging or bringing your attention to a certain location, and not too far down the camp, kind of in the center lane that has segmented all the other smaller refugee camps here. There's a person standing on a crate. You can see that they are dressed, by comparison to a lot of the people over here, much more finely. They are wearing a coat of a deep burgundy color, and embroidered on the back is a golden rose. They're standing atop the crate, and they have a small scroll that they unfurl. And as you guys are getting closer, still, making your way towards your camp, you hear them clear their throat. Good people of the Lyra camp, I beg for your attention now, please. We know amongst your numbers are a great many brave and heroic mercenaries that have joined the war effort in order to bring peace back to our beloved continent. We know that all of you are having a hard and difficult time. Amenities are not as forthcoming as everyone would like. But we, from the Gildan Rose Merchantry, have an offer. For those of you risking your lives for family, friend, and country, we are offering bounties. If you find yourselves out on missions and you find yourselves fighting against the gnomish menace, battling their automatons, if you are capable of salvaging their power cores and bringing them back, the Gildan Rose Merchantry is more than happy to pay a handsome sum. We will likewise, for those that are reliable and consistent, provide discounts on all of our wares and goods in the future. If you would like for additional information, we will have, with our permission of the Mercenary Liaison Covert, have signs put up around the camp for you to reference so you can understand exactly what it is we're willing to put forth for your efforts. We thank you for your heroic efforts in this war, and we hope that you continue to have successful missions. Thank you. Please return to your daily activities. And the person steps down. They have an aide nearby pick up the crate, and they turn around and begin walking away. You can see there are a couple of other individuals wearing similar jackets that are now going around with signposts that are kind of hammering into the ground at intersections.
I think that's worth a look.
And it was a volume enough for pretty much anybody on this side of the camp to hear. So, it has a little opening spiel to it, which is a little, perhaps even not quite barbed, but insensitive. The poster reads, "Have you lost everything? Do you want your family to live in comfort like they once did? The Gilden Rose Merchantry can help. While out fighting against the Gnomish menace, if you recover the power cores of their automatons, we'll pay a handsome price for them, making your heroic actions worth that much more. Prices will vary based on the grade of the power core. And then they have a list of the power core grades listed from the lowest of F to E, D, C, B, A, and S, and the prices for each one and in corresponding order. 25 silver, 50 silver, 75 silver, 150 silver, 1,000 silver, 5,000 silver, and grade S is denoted as plus 25,000.
Well, yeah, Titan takes note of it. He's happy to collect. I mean, he planned to collect power cores anyway, so.
Okay. Well, yeah, like I said, they're kind of just stamped up everywhere, so
Yeah.
easy to reference. There's also a copy of the list. I put it in the Foundry chat so you can have it. But if you also go to the Gilden Rose Merchantry faction journal entry, it'll be under the notes category.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but after that announcement, and you all continue your way back, I'm assuming there will be an eventual intersection of all of the people here looking for one another.
Yep.
Well, it's kind of just wandering around the side of the camp, waiting. Waves as he sees people come back.
Yeah, Titan needs to get his armor on, but otherwise, pretty good to go. He'll meet up with you. Well, Lilith, how'd things go on your end? Ra's got armor.
Yeah, put up some silver as collateral, but so long as she doesn't go shredding this armor, I think she'll be able to get it back.
Titan nods. Well, we're probably not likely to face anything as strong as Tatiana out there, so.
I hope not.
And if we do us all a favor, run.
Same to you. I think that's a situation where we all just run.
Titan nods. Oh yeah, I'll be gone. I'm not even looking back at you guys.
Oh, you think you're faster than me, old man?
He just smiles. Maybe over a short distance.
A Dragonite natural sprinter?
No, but I am. Dwarves, though, I've heard they're very natural sprinters.
Yeah. And at this point, I think Lilith is just kind of waiting around until mission time.
Yep.
I think Audie would give her mom a bit of an update, kind of let her know, be like, gone at noon. I'll be back when I'm back. Hopefully, no more than 3 days, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, and then meet up probably center camp with everyone else.
I think Corona is going to be doing similarly, letting your parents know if they're not there, she'll leave a note and meet up with everyone else.
Okay.
Look at you all being nice. Roz is avoiding her grandpa because she doesn't want to deal with him finding out about Tatiana. So,
Oh, I'm sure he already knows.
well, we're avoiding that
He
conversation because we
absolutely
avoid our
already
problems
knows.
around
He
here.
definitely knows.
Between at least the two responsible people, he knows.
Yeah. And like you're pretty confident word had gotten around camp a little. Like your grandfather's not so dense as to have not heard some of the latest hot gossip, you know?
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. Eventually, maybe. Or never.
You know, as it goes.
I just
You
stand
did?
by. Titan would have told him. So, I need you checking in on Roz through the night if something's going on. Make
Roz
sure
did.
she's okay.
Roz did promise that she would stay alive, but the status of that alive and in pieces was always up for question.
Well, you've reconvened. You're just biding time until Whitecross shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I imagine we'd probably head to them. Or head to like the platform. We knew when we were meeting up.
yeah. They had told us that the plan was to set out as soon as they were done inspecting the collars. So Titan got his armor and figured we were heading out pretty quick.
Okay. Yeah, if you all gather your stuff and you head towards Whitecross, you can be directed by a sentry to one of the preparation tents, of which when you are brought to the tent and you swing the flap open, inside you see there is a group of Whitecross Company soldiers. The thing that you would most immediately note is that all of them are equipped and ready to go on a mission. They're in armor. They have a series of very specific kit along with a bunch of gear strapped to their packs. But they do not wear the standard tabards that they're always seen wearing around the camp. In this particular instance, they are dressed in a fashion that looks almost like a stealth mission, and that they are wearing a gamut of light grays, slate grays, and blacks. Right, we'll turn to look at you all as you come in. All right. Greenwood. Well, welcome in. Get inside. Close the flap. So, quick introductions. This is OTF 5, the Operational Task Force. Whitecross Company has, in this group, 6 of them. We are assigned specific tactical missions, with each of us having each task force having reliable, useful skill set. Ours happens to be a combination of sabotage and subterfuge. But in this particular manner, we have been a task rescue as well, but because our main skill set will come in handy for the rescue mission. So, you all have met me, Sergeant Riot. Just call me Riot. Let's keep it simple. And around the room, my second in command, Corporal Snowbird. Next to them, I believe you've met them, Private Evening Glow. Next to them, Private Gloom. Next to them, Private Zephyr. And each of the soldiers will give you a nod as it goes around. Just in kind of quick succession, descriptions for each of the characters. Riot, you've met before. She's human, relatively tall, tan skin, littered in scars. She has a like muddy red hair that's pulled back into a tight ponytail. She wears what looks like medium armor, a very sturdy breastplate, but her arms and forearms are exposed. She's got van braces on, things that allows her to be agile and reactive. She has a great axe, which is not any of the axes you've ever seen her carry. This one is different. It has spitting out both of the axe blades on a pair of dragon's mouths, and the eyes are set with onyx stones. Corporal Snowbird appears to be a laird elf, based off of their extremely pale skin. They have unusually white hair, probably lending to their name, blue eyes. They are dressed in a fashion that would look like Lilith, if you threw in a little bit of blue. Similarly, a longbow staff is kind of sitting next to them in the tent. Private Gloom is a dwarf, olive-colored skin, green eyes, thick black hair, and two very dense braids. They are covered in a set of medium armor, carrying a smattering of weapons. They look like they could easily respond to most situations with something appropriate. Private Zephyr is a halfling of Florin. They fair skin, blonde hair, brown eyes. They have rosy colored cheeks that are kind of spotted in light freckles. She's got a big gleaming smile, dressed in a manner that makes her look very fleet of foot. Has a brace of daggers across their chest, along with a holy symbol dangling around their neck. And of course, Evening Glow, the gnome with the incredibly high saturation blue colored hair and lime green eyes, is covered wearing a breastplate and just has
Morning
this
glow?
Evening Glow.
Evening glow.
Yeah.
How did I get that backwards?
Mm-hmm. Time of day, maybe.
Yeah, apparently.
And is covered in a series in assortments of odd gadgets and things of that nature, which are readily strapped to his bag and himself. All right. Evening Glow told me a bit about what Titan and Melody learned. We have at least two possible solutions. Neither of them are super ideal, and it really depends on how many prisoners we end up finding. Since the collars work with fire magic, the best we could come up with in a short amount of time is that we've managed 5 spell scrolls of create water. So if necessary, we can douse people or dig a large basin and fill it, and similarly use that as a means to provide us an opportunity to disarm the collars, while unfortunately temporarily drowning our rescuees. But likewise, Evening Glow has a method that, if ultimately necessary, and I feel like this would be the last resort, we would do something similar, large form of water, and then freeze them in a block of ice, at the very least, until we can get them to another location with people more readily available to deal with the problem at hand. Did you all manage to come up with anything in your time while you separated?
No, nothing but aside from what you've already suggested. Audie suggested that my breath weapon could aid in a couple as well. Though again, it would cause damage to the people wearing the collar.
Yeah, not ideal. Yeah, Evening Glow did mention it, that what the leader of the chapter was talking about while you all were there, that perhaps we should just consider pooling some resources and hiring one of them to come with us? If they would, in fact, increase the likelihood of keeping these prisoners alive after we rescue them.
It was our understanding that that would indeed probably be the best option.
Yeah, I would think so, because while we have contingencies, they don't feel like a solid plan. If we don't have a solid plan, it's not worth undertaking it. But the window is closing, because the transport will be going through by tomorrow morning. So we do need to hurry up and make a decision about how we're going to handle that.
what the price is?
Understood.
What was that, Melody?
Do we know what the price is?
I haven't had the pleasure of walking into their camp to ask about their services yet, so no idea. You all wouldn't happen to have any sort of working relationship with them yet?
Not yet. The general advice from Covert was, and Titan gets into it.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of a little wishy-washy. I mean, we don't exactly have an abundance of wealth with us. It's not exactly relevant to a war effort. I've been cleared for 500 silver.
I can contribute an additional 100 silver.
I can as well.
Got a little more than that.
Got 50.
I gave most of my money to your quartermaster.
All right. So it sounds like, at least between the lot of us, we've got a good chunk of money. Are any of you feeling particularly confident about going to actually speak to them about hiring one of them?
I'm not the most diplomatic person in the world.
I mean, I think I'm bright and cheerful, but I don't know about diplomatic.
Well, if no one else is feeling confident, I can go take a gander.
I'll
Not-
go with you.
All right.
All right. I'll send my corporal over with you as a representative. I'll give him the the bag of silver. Figure out a price. Offer it to them. I feel like having one of them with us will be the best answer we have to this problem. Making sure that the people we rescue actually stay alive. So, if we have to spend all of our money, at least our money, go for it.
All right.
Titan relayed like everything he was told, right?
Yeah, I don't think he would have kept anything back.
I was going to say Audie was about to bring it up because I don't know if we would have brought it up with White Cross Company, which is just, if anybody has good history, things worth preserving. Apparently they like that too.
On the way over, Lilith's gonna be racking her brain trying to see if there's anything in there that she remembers reading about she thinks they might enjoy.
I mean, you have your whole family's history in your brain.
Yeah,
Somewhere.
Yeah, and stuff that she remembers from trancing that might be interesting tidbits.
All right. Well, you can certainly give it a shot. Give it a shot.
History check.
Yeah. See if you can brawl us up something juicy.
I did. It's a nat 20.
Of course.
Very nice.
28.
Yeah, big number. Well, your family's history is an extremely long one. I think you have to find the intersection of interesting family history and things Lilith has actually tranced through. Given Lilith's age, quite young, you've not had an opportunity to really even go through, a fraction of your family's history, given how long it is. So just give me like a ballpark thing. Like, what does Lilith normally trance for in regards to the time she wants to go through her family's memories?
A lot of it has to do with just whatever's going on in her current life. But I think that earlier on in her life, before she went to Greenwood, her mom probably encouraged her to take a look at a lot of past battles, try to learn from that kind of stuff. While her father would have encouraged her to uh, look at things from a more travel perspective, different places, things, interesting people.
Okay. Hmm. I'm having a hard time coming up with like what would be an interesting tidbit for you to lean on. Let's see. Something they'd value. Probably something primordial. You probably had a small era of looking at like historical battles that your family was a part of. In which case, there's probably one of the oldest memories, and perhaps part of the fun of looking into it, is looking at the Battle of the Glass Plains of Gensbast, which was a several year siege on the gnomish capital city of Gensbast, by one of the four hands of creation, specifically the Martinet, the being responsible for the destruction of failed projects from the primordials. It was so named because it and the elementals it commanded scorched everything around Ginsbast into glass, so that way nothing could grow or survive there. Essentially forcing them to stay within the city walls and hold out a siege. Funnily enough, this is also the origin story as to that awful food that's being fed in the camp. When you don't have fields to grow food, you have to magically create it, and the best way to get the most food you need to feed hundreds of thousands of people in a city is by making it spread out as much as you can.
I'd like to imagine that's where she makes the connection and remembers, just like she had some for breakfast and it's still on her tongue. Just can't get the taste out.
What a fun way to bring that all together. And then in a weird way, it's like you can appreciate that your breakfast every morning, as awful as it is a significant piece of history that most people probably just don't know about and still can't really appreciate because of just how awful it is. That being said, do you think that is a significant tidbit, at least if told in a fashion that you think would be appealing and at length enough to earn you some favor, would be sufficient enough to at least get negotiations started to get a mercenary? So, just so I'm clear, who is going to the chapter of Fire Camp?
Corona will go.
Okay, Corona,
Lilith.
Lilith.
Audie's interested in observing.
Okay.
She's
Audie.
This is new territory.
I'd say Riot's sending Corporal Snowbird with you all.
Titan's gonna hang back.
Okay. Roz.
His deals with them are gonna be personal.
Nah, Roz is mission ready and doesn't have the best experience right now. We're kind of 1 for 2 dealing with leaders.
Fair enough. Okay. So, Corona, Lilith, Melody, and Snowbird, you all head to the Chapter of Fire. Their camp is neat and organized, again, washed in the colors of red, orange, and yellow. They have several black iron braziers and stand torches that are filled with magical fires, constantly illuminating and keeping the temperature of their camp slightly higher than the average weather, making it especially more humid than average, especially on those days that are a little bit rainy. The camp is unusual in the fact that during a large part of the day, you can observe various forms of elementals more or less carrying out the daily camp activities that you would expect most of the either lower ranked or hirelings handling that sort of work. So you'll watch as a fire elemental is carrying a large metal box from one side of the camp to the other and then organizing it when it gets there. They have a large round tent in the center of their camp, of which you can see smoke kind of slowly billowing out from underneath the canopy at the top at various points. But they, unlike several other camps, don't have anybody standing guard or waiting to receive. But you can most certainly hear voices having polite conversation in the central tent.
Okay. Quick out of character question.
Yeah.
How much was Melody willing to chip in?
If asked directly for the number, she has 150.
Okay. Just so that I know what our budget is. Okay, so that's like 850 or 900 total because Lilith is 50.
Yep.
I think. Okay. Okay.
Yep. My rough math tells me it's also 900.
All right. I guess once we're all there, Corona's gonna look towards Lilith and towards the White Cross representative that came with us and ask, so any of you want to do some of the talking or do you want to leave it all to me?
I think I've got an interesting piece of history that I can tease them with to try and get the number a bit lower.
And I
That
didn't
might
have
be.
much. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that might be good.
Nadi would just say, I didn't have much luck talking with their leader, but I'm a familiar face at least.
And I am merely here as a representative. Riot trusted you all to do this part, otherwise they would have sent someone that would have been better at speaking.
All right. Well then, who wants to lead? Lilith, do you want to lead with your offer, or should I lead into you?
Why don't you start? You
All right.
are better with people, I think.
Huh. That's what everyone says. I guess we should probably just get closer.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have any guards, so
They don't. You can walk right into the camp, and even the work elemental doesn't seem to pay you any mind.
okay. I think once we're a few feet away from the entrance to the tent, Krona's gonna call out and say, "Is anyone from the chapter of fire able to talk business?"
The voices that were conversing, you hear pause for a moment, and then they speak again. A couple of sentences exchanged, and then a voice beckons you inside.
Krona will look to the others and she'll open up the tent fold and hold it for everyone else to go in.
As you open up the tent fold, the first thing you immediately notice, all of you, is that there is a perfumed smoke that just billows out. It is sweet and spicy. Come on in. We are not the type to bite our guests. We are not our neighbors.
Thank you. That's a relief. We're not here to waste your time for too long, but like I said, we got some business that we got to take care of. I'm sure you're aware of the mission that's been posted, the one specifically to rescue prisoners of war with those collars.
Yes, I am familiar. I've met your compatriot earlier, and Vertrara from the other side of the room points at Melody. There are two other figures in the room, for what it is worth. A red scale dragon eye with an orange tint, and what looks like a dwarf. One is sitting off to the side, smoking a hookah, and the other one is currently sitting in the big pile of pillows with a large tome folded open in their lap, writing.
Well, then, am I safe to assume that you also know the troubles that we might be having?
I'm keenly aware. Yes.
All right.
So
Well,
what?
then that makes this easy.
Yes. So why don't you get to your proposal then?
We'd like to hire someone that'd be willing to come with, and it's our understanding that your people might be uniquely equipped to help with the situation. We're willing to pay.
And what are you willing to pay? Assume a daily rate.
Well, we got money, of course, but I think that we have something that you might also be interested that isn't money. My friend here might be able to explain it a little better.
I'm listening.
Hi. Uh, I've been informed that you happen to be an enjoyer of history.
You've heard correctly.
I am as well, and I happen to have remembered a bit. Uh, would you be interested in hearing the story of the glassing of the gnomish capital by one of the four hands of creation, as told from the perspective of somebody who lived during that time?
And what is the bloodline that you bear that you would have this information to tell?
Uh, my family name is Elana.
Well, that is interesting indeed. Well, tell your story. If it matches alongside some of the historical information and facts I have around that war, and doesn't contradict anything, we can consider our relationship favorable for negotiating this contract.
Okay. And Lilith will go in and trying to give a accurate historical account. I don't think she fluffed anything up. She's just trying to state the facts as she remembers them.
Okay. Uh, between like historical dissertation and tale at a bar, where do you lie on a scale of like 1 to 10, from 1 being historical representation to fairy tale?
Like a 4.5. She's definitely. They're all accurate. She's not, lying about anything, but she is trying to make it seem interesting.
Okay. Do me a favor, make a performance intelligence check.
Oh boy. So flat intelligence.
You can do it.
Gonna use a hero point or inspiration.
Yeah, same thing. Should probably just start calling it that anyway.
17 total.
Not bad.
Okay, that's pretty good. How long roughly does your story go for?
I think she'll give it like a solid 10 minutes.
Okay.
And kind of leave hints towards the fact that she'd be willing to share more should they reach, an agreement if they want her to come back.
By the end of your 10-minute teaser, given that there's just so much information that you can actually recount, that 10 minutes is barely even a drop in the bucket, so to speak. But you can see that the Failings sitting on the mound of pillows over yonder, listening, watching, observing, questioning, is intrigued. I will admit you do leave me wanting more. I will give you a discounted rate for one of our members. And should you return and tell me the remainder of the tale in its entirety, I will consider even giving you part of the portion back.
It's very kind of you.
Not something I'm used to hearing. So, I'll keep this simple. Infern, and with a hand, they will gesture to the red and orange tinged scale dragon eye over the way with the book in their lap. I can send Infern with you for 50 silver a day. That is with the discount included. However, Infern will be sent to deal with the callers and nothing else. If you wish for them to participate in any fights you occur along the way, it will increase the cost of their daily price.
Are you expected to defend them? Or will they take care of themselves?
Infern is very capable. But it would be in your best interest that Infern survive as well, wouldn't it not?
Well, yes, but
They're not going to go stumbling into an ambush, and they're not going to put themselves in harm's way, especially since you're a bunch of strangers. You shouldn't have to worry about their well-being. You're not babysitting one of my mercenaries.
I think that's more than reasonable. After all, I think we intend to get in as little fights as possible. If we can help it.
Out of curiosity, how much would the rate increase if we did ask them to fight alongside us?
100 silver a day.
And would having them fight on a single day increase the price for all days that they're out, or just that one day?
Do you want the possibility for them to fight other days, or would you just want to pay for the days that they'd have to fight?
Lilith looks to the others.
Clearly,
Right.
we don't want to pay for the items we get, such as the days that they'd fight. Naughty would kind of look to the group, being like, "Am I crazy here? Like, does that make sense to anyone else?"
Corona would nod, yeah.
Yeah, Lilith's kind of looking at it like, I don't know, you're the merchant.
Touche.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Wait a second, this is your job.
Well, to keep this simple, I think the rate, nonetheless, is acceptable. If we get into combat, then I think we're willing to pay more. Whether it's per day or for the whole thing.
Then how about this? Infern will not intervene in a fight unless it is requested. Should you request it, the additional fee incurred that day will be 75 silver.
I think that's fair.
And I can assure you, Infern is worth every Kraylor you have to offer.
Then I think we got a deal.
Very good. I will take the silvers upon your return when we know what the total is. I trust that you will not attempt to scam me, given the close proximity in which we share to one another's camps. I need not spell out the danger that I could pose to those that cannot defend themselves, yes?
No. And it's not worth the trouble for either party.
Good.
Maybe mercenaries, but we're all on the same side in this.
If that's what you believe.
Hesitate to say that we're not even mercenaries. Really, we're simple folk. Trustworthy enough.
Easy to say that, young one.
But I believe it.
That is good for you to believe. Infern will be ready within the hour. Where would you like for me to send them?
We can all probably meet by the portal at that point.
Corona nods. That agreeable?
Fine by me.
She'll look to Infern. Corona look to Infern, give him a silent nod, and then back to the leader. I forget her name.
Retrara.
Retrara.
Yeah.
Give her a nod as well. Ah, Retrara. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think we're done here. Thank you once again.
May your mission be a success.
I'll
Corona will.
definitely be back to talk history some more later.
Corona will get up. and open the tent flap for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Back to Whitecross to tell them the good news.
All right. Well, the rest of the party comes back. They give you a short retelling, and you know that you will be in the company of a chapter of fire mercenary.
Good job, everyone.
Clap, 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 clap.
Big claps to Lilith. I was expecting so much more, like in terms of like having to pay.
Yeah, huge props to Lilith. Great
Yeah,
story.
Good timing for a natural 20 to pop up on a history check.
for
Yeah.
real.
I think she's rocked every single history check she's made
You
except for like
have.
one.
You really have.
I am not sad about putting my expertise in it.
Honestly, it's like a bold choice because it's not always a practical use for a skill, but it's paying off.
Big nerd.
Nerd. Okay. Time will pass. Both groups will gather towards the portal. Last chance to do anything else before you go.
Brenna's gonna buy a shovel.
Okay.
How much is a shovel?
Really slipping that one in last minute, huh?
Yep.
That is a great question. How much is a shovel?
Can't imagine it's too much, but
Well, if you're buying it, it implies who you're buying it from, so it could be an arm and a leg. 4 silver.
4 silver, done. She will buy a shovel.
Let's choose some mint.
Okay.
She's
So
trying to
she
prep
doesn't
for
get
the-
sick.
Yeah, she's trying to prep for the purple.
Smart.
Didn't even think about that. That's real funny. Okay. If there's no other preparations remaining, you will all head towards the warp portal on the raised dais with the portal guardian. And you will see when you are there, in Fern, the red, orange-tinged scale dragoneye from the chapter of fire, dressed in a manner that you think is lesser than they would normally wear due to the means of the mission, and that while they are still wearing reds and orange and yellows, the colors are quite muted by comparison, and they don't have anything loose or dangling from them. Chapter of Fire tends to quite like their robes and their sarongs and their sashes, but it seems it's been cut loose for now. And they carry with them a staff of obsidian that is topped with a single dragon figurine carved out of ruby, and it seems to have this gentle internal glow like a torchlight. Rather more like just like a flickering fire. It is not bright like a torch, not yet at least. And Fern walks up, falls in line, just will make like acknowledging eye contact, but won't speak. Not unless spoken to, at least. The portal guardian greets all of you as you approach. A mission voucher, please. And Riot hands them the slip. Very good, thank you. They slip their staff into the groove in the dais. You hear the internal mechanics of the platform shift and move, and the portal snaps to life. And on the other side, you see craggy, dark stone terrain covered in gravel and rough hills, dusted in a light snow. All right, everyone, all the way through. We have a bit of a walk ahead of us. You all charge through the portal. For those of you who wish, you can make a Constitution saving throw if you perhaps think teleportation sickness is something your character struggles with now. If not, and you think your character is fine, you are now free by this point to skip.
there's two?
Consistently bad. That's
The
a
mid-
7 for Titan.
The bit does not help natural one.
Oh,
You two are ridiculous.
Titan hates teleporting.
I've succeeded 2 for 2, but I'm gonna roll one just for fun.
Okay.
One last one.
Yeah.
Just for the road.
All the bit succeeded in doing is flavoring for vomit.
Yeah, come on, Corona, get out of here. All right. You all go through. Everyone gets their bearings. A couple of you are not feeling great. Lilith suffering the worst. But Evening Glow, Private Evening Glow, the artificer, likewise suffers a bit, where he's just sort of like holding himself against a rock, just kind of leaned over, like just carefully breathing through, a bit of nausea. But the rest of the members of the group seem fine.
That just adds credence to its being an intelligence thing.
True.
Right, it's the big brain that's bashing against the skull via the teleportation magic, right? That's all it is. It's a mild concussion every time.
It must be it.
You've cracked the code. That's also a weird way to like backhand insult the rest of the party. Oh, well, you're not smart enough to feel nauseous.
They gotta console themselves somehow because all they can taste is puke.
Yeah, I was gonna say Audie over here with her 16 intelligence. Well, I guess I'm dumb.
After a few minutes, everybody gets their bearings. The cool air of the Titan Horns mountain range helps. To most of you, while you've perhaps never been into the deeper parts of this mountain range, it is familiar territory. This is once again the northern region of Kondrasa, of which Greenwood used to be nestled in. Let's just temporarily change our environment. It is a crisp 0 degrees and windy.
Perfect.
Right up Titan's alley.
Awful.
Yeah, the wind is cutting and carries with it a moisture that makes it biting. But Riot immediately gets everybody on the same page. White Cross does have additional winter cloaks for those who don't have them and will happily share. And similarly, you'll watch as Infern, your Lind from the chapter of Fire, you just sort of watch as he takes deeper breaths, and you can see along the paler scales of his neck what looks like a fire burning inside of his chest. And there's just like these gentle drifts of smoke coming out of his nostrils, like he's just keeping himself warm.
Titan gives them a nod of respect.
Corona will step away from him so that her bombs don't go off.
Touche. Good consideration. That might be a problem in the future. And you begin a hike into the mountainous terrain of the Titan's Horn mountain range. Into the biting cold, dramatic whiplash from the much more temperate, humid climate of southern Saphinus. The terrain here, while cold, is mostly hospitable. Occasional inclines. You will sometimes need the help of another person who's gotten a better footing, usually of someone a stronger, better climber, to help hoist up some of those less able. But after a point, when you reach a certain elevation, you realize exactly where the Way Mage landed you all via the teleportation. Because you eventually crest a hill, and when you turn around, the edge of the mountainside just vanishes. And you have wispy, soft white clouds drifting by, and far down below, you can see the stretching sprawl of the emerald boughs, and you think somewhere in the distance there's a hollow just on the edge of that forest that you think is Greenwood. You aren't that far from home. And from this same vantage point, you can see the constructed, previously referred to as the Imperial Highway, as it was a project the dwarves established, but due to the fall of their kingdom, is now just referred to as the Merchant's Path. That is, you are currently quite high over. It is technically to the north of you. And there's a long stretch. When you're at this high vantage point, Riot stops. Just kind of wind whipping through the cloak. All right. We've got a good head start. We know the transport that's carrying the prisoners is supposed to come through the mountain pass along the Merchant's Path sometime tomorrow morning. If we keep up a good pace today, there's a pathway that our scouts have found that will take us down closer to where the Merchant's Path cuts through the mountain. And there's a location that we've established that is perfect for an ambush. It is essentially a point of no return, that they're going to be so deep into the mountain path, even if they decide that they've been ambushed, the only way for them to leave is to go back out, and it's still going to be a straight stretch of road. So we'll provide plenty of opportunity for us to pursue if necessary. There is minimal cover, some large boulders and rocks that we can use. But perhaps most interestingly, and perhaps to slight disadvantage depending upon any sort of clever maneuvering someone wants to attempt, is that the pathway through the Titan Horns mountain range was assisted by the gnomes once upon a time. And there are magical struts that have been built into the sides of the mountain that more or less create a invisible magical net that will prevent rock slides. So if you are feeling particularly reckless, you could try to take them out to cause a rock slide. Wouldn't recommend it since we're all going to be there. Our method for stopping them, a very generous donation from our left commander, Siege, a spell scroll of Wall of Stone. It will essentially allow us to create a multi-layered blockade that will take them a great deal of effort to chisel through, and ideally by that point we've disabled them and surrounded them. Anybody have any questions for the basic plans?
Grounder shakes her head.
All right. Let's keep up the pace we're going at. Hopefully, we can get into a position soon enough so that at the very least we can catch a nap and be ready to ambush them by the time they're coming through. Not waste any time. And Riot turns back and continues the hike. It is again an arduous hike. It doesn't involve a ton of climbing or exceptionally dangerous pathways, since Whitecross previously scouted out in advance. But the cold and the sheer exertion of the hike is difficult. Those of you that don't have something that would acclimate you to this kind of cold weather, I believe Roz and Titan do. I need you to make a Constitution saving throw for me.
Roz does not, actually.
Really?
She's acclimated to height, but not cold.
Oh. You have cold resistance?
No.
No, okay. Just Titan then. Well,
Con save, you said?
con save.
Okay.
Gonna re-roll mine.
Yeah, me too.
It's better. 18.
That is very good.
Oh my god. Well, again, last one.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
Well, all right, 12. 12 it is.
Okay.
Or wait, no, I have to take the 10, right?
No.
No? Okay.
You would be able to pick from the original roll or the newest reroll.
Or the new. Okay,
So,
well,
yeah,
12
12 or
it is
10.
then.
I also
10.
spent my other inspiration, got an 11.
Okay. Despite the wear and tear that you're going to experience, luckily none of you succumb to any additional exhaustion. And since we're in the waning minutes of the session, everyone just roll a flat d20.
Let's go.
4.
Okay.
6.
8.
Let's go.
Someone
My
have
God,
a,
we're counting.
someone have a 10 and a 12?
It's like 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Come on.
A 16.
Is it
Okay.
beneficial to roll high? Because I can
Where
hero
was
point
that?
it.
Let's
I mean,
know.
full disclosure, these are encounter rolls.
Okay, I rolled a 3.
Good. You should probably stay there.
Okay.
Hey, if 16s are worst, it could be definitely much worse.
It could be. It could be. So a 16 will get you something, but don't worry, it's not bad. It'll be a nice little flavor thing to wrap up the end of the session on. You guys are following Riot and OTF 5. Snowbird, corporate Snowbird, seems to be quite well adjusted to this climate, along with the fact that they seem to always be able to spot hazards ahead of time and help the groups circumnavigate them. Everybody make a perception check.
8.
17.
14.
Also 8. Oh, no, wait. Hold on. Hold on.
Wait for it.
9.
Oh,
The math. Perception. 22.
oh wow.
Nice.
I rolled 19.
Okay. Anyone who rolled over a 15. About 3 hours further from Riot's stop to break down the plan and basic summation. About 3 hours later, there's a point where Snowbird has the whole group halt. And they'll take they'll take their bald fist that had everyone stop, and then they'll take a single finger and they'll point. And you can see up ahead, you're at a slight elevation where you're currently working your way down a slope, and there's kind of a branching path. Towards the right path, which goes up which goes up and to the right, further and deeper into the mountain range. For those of you that roll over a 15 on perception, you can see when Snowbird points that it's quite difficult to notice, given the wind and the soft snowdrift and everything having a bit of a dusting of white, that there is in fact a large shaped figure with white fur that is currently lumbering its way up that pathway. It stands to be about 16, 17 feet high. And when it takes moments of pause, it seems to almost completely blend into the snow. And you
Covered
sit.
in red crystals, is it?
I don't know. You roll higher than 9.
Can we
You
try
got
to
me there.
There's a
identify?
22. Tell me if it's covered in crystals.
Adi, it is not covered in red crystals.
Yay.
Good question, though.
She doesn't know what that means, but I do.
Mm-hmm. That's a problem for future you.
Oh, well.
Yeah. For those of you that have rolled that high, if you want, you could roll a nature check if you were so obliged.
Sure. Uh, 15 total.
I heard a dice fall in the other room.
Okay, you're muted.
Yeah, it was a 17.
Okay. Oh yeah, Lilith and Adi both. Quite simply put, the Titan's Horn mountain range is home to two tribes of giant kin. A clan of frost giants, and a clan of Yetis. Which some believe are actually different branching evolutions from the original creation all the way back to the Great Creation War. But that's a topic for a different time. This is definitively a Yeti. And it has only recently, in the last couple of decades, been discovered that their intelligence is much higher than previously expected and studied. And that they have tribe culture and individuality, and they're capable of thought and speech in a way that was previously not believed to be possible. And generally, seeing one is something to be wary of, since they are a bit territorial. Time will pass, and the Yeti will move on. And only after everyone's lost sight of it will the column begin moving again. You will travel for the better part of the day. It is cold, it is exhausting. It only gets a little worse when the sun begins to set. But by that point, you've descended below the snow line, and you've come out along what would be considered a goat's path that takes you onto a high cliff looking down onto the merchant's pathway, where you can now see the aforementioned bronze struts and the faint, nearly invisible net of arcane energy that it has created that encases the side of the mountains to prevent any rock slides from ever blocking the pathway. Right, just with one hand points to the location down below. And that, ladies, gentlemen, and all others, is where we ambush the transport. And that's where we're going to end tonight.
Mm-hmm.
We did it, guys. We're successfully on a mission.
We're doing it.
We made it.
And next week, you ambush.
Dun, dun, dun. Or
Dun-dun-dun.
are we the ones that get ambushed by a bunch of Yeti?
I hope not.
I won't lie to you. There's totally going to be a percentile die roll at some point, depending upon noise, that could summon Yetis. Because I
Maybe
like
they'll hate the robots more than they hate us.
it's possible. I like throwing in random variables that could matter. Only one way to know.
Anyone speak Yeti?
Nope.
I'm about to say I doubt it.
I technically have comprehend languages, or not yet. Maybe not yet. What?
I think you have it.
First level. I have it. I can comprehend them. Maybe. They are intelligent enough. I should be able to comprehend them.
That is a statement. Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mhm.
doesn't
Know
mean
what
they
they're saying
comprehend
when they
me.
go, let's rip them apart.
Right.
Kill the small one first. What?
Which one's the small one?
Good
Probably
question.
the floor.
I know it's not me.
Yeah, exactly. Titan's like, whew, I'm clear.
Yeah, I'd say probably Zephyr is
Yeah.
gonna be my guess.
That's fair. Also, I like to imagine that's where Titan turns to the camera and goes, and this is why you eat your vegetables, children.
I like
Oh man, he's all
vegetables.
about eating meat.
Well, we did it. We got here. So, yeah, and next week we will see additionally how it goes, because I've basically left you right on the precipice of the start of the actual like map mission, so we can just get right into it next week.
Nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. So, yeah, that's all I got. No news that I can think of. Things are good. Casual here still. we're probably gonna raid someone. Okay.
You haven't been doing your outro, so I didn't know when we were going.
Man, I'm so bad about it now. I blame work.
I was like, do. I'm just waiting for the outro
Yeah,
to hit.
no,
the
you're
button.
right. I don't know. Like I'm telling you, ever since I started working a job, I've completely lost that natural rhythm at the end of the session. Because I'm trying not to like do it and then just like end things without thinking about doing a raid, which some weeks is less important than actually doing the outro correctly. Anyway, we'll see you next week at the start of this fresh new mission, finally. And hopefully during the mission, that will result in several rescue lives. But only if the party makes some good choices. We'll find out. See you then.
Thanks for hanging
Bye-bye.
out, chat. You guys are the
You
best.
guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
We're free.